Okay, friends, welcome back. Here we are. I believe where we last left off was in the museum, and you were just admiring the blue trees and the canoe strung up on the ceiling and the Panzer tank that is sitting in the corner there. When out of one of the side rooms that was obscured with some sort of illusion came a full-on 10-foot tall pit fiend. Wings, tail, fangs, sulfur smell, the whole 9 yards. Yeah? And as you made your first reactions, what happens next is the pit fiend says, Oh dear, I'm dreadfully sorry. I must look a fright. Give me just one moment, please." The smell of sulfur increases a little bit, and there's like a little bit of a glow. And where there was once a 10-foot pit fiend, there is now a maybe 5'8", 5'10" gentleman wearing a top hat and spectacles, with sort of a mustache and mutton chops that come down, wearing a sort of semi-formal suit, looking very much like a museum proprietor.
So I have a question about that. Is with Swoops' blind sight, has his form actually changed, or is this just an illusion?
No, his form has actually changed. Good question.
Okay.
Yes, he actually has transformed into probably a human.
Humanoid.
Says, well, there. That should be much better. I deeply apologize. I'm not used to receiving visitors this late in the evening, but the museum is absolutely open, so if you would like to take a look around, if there's anything I can show you. I am the curator, and in here, my word is absolute, yes? But as long as you behave, I'm sure you'll be delighted by the wonders found in my various wings.
What is a
No pun intended?
museum? What is a museum?
My
I've not
dear.
heard the word before.
A museum is my very favorite thing, for what we have here are historical and notable artifacts from across the plains. By looking at these, we can almost see the history behind them.
He goes up and looks at whatever she was closest to, which
The tree.
she was next to the tree. Oh, because she had touched the tree. So yeah, she goes up to the tree and she pokes. So I don't know if I see the history with this. What's the history of this?
Ah, yes. Well, you may or may not know the grandmother loves to spend a great deal of time in the plains of the Fae. Yes? And many of the tales of her place her as an actual archfey herself, although we are not entirely certain whether or not that is truly the case. These blue trees are perhaps a key to the history of Baba Yaga herself, because she decided to bring them here. And while all of these other exhibits, they shift from time to time, some go into storage, some come out, these trees always remain. I believe it is because they remind her of her original home, wherever and whenever that was.
How are they able to survive here? It's my understanding that a lot of the plant life from other planes can't really exist on the other ones.
Yes, but the grandmother has her ways. If you were to dig into the ground here, you would find perfectly good soil underneath, although I beg you do not.
All right. I'm used to getting a bit more information from touring a museum.
I don't know the ins and outs of how the trees are actually maintained, I'm afraid. I don't have to water them. I don't have to check them for bugs. They simply exist. They are part of the framework for me, I suppose.
You said it's rather late. Should we maybe schedule to come back for a tour when it's usual business hours?
Oh, no. This museum has no actual business hours. It is quite late, but there is no reason for us not to embark on a journey here, my friends. Or you could, I suppose, find a place to rest.
Is there housing in the museum? Quarters?
I'm afraid not. As far as I know, the only place with quarters would be where the ogres sleep, and that would not be a pleasant experience for you, I don't think.
Well, not for us or not for the ogres.
Perhaps both.
Would you say we're in the outer layers still, or is this one of the inner layers?
Anything you can access by simply walking through a door will be in the outer layer, yes. The inner layer even I have not been privy to see.
So you're the curator here.
I am?
How long have you been the curator here? Since its inception?
No. There was a storm giant that ran the place before I did. Well, it's been at least a century, possibly a century and a half. I am delighted to do the job. I have always been more interested in the artifacts of yore than I have been in the politics of the Nine Hells.
DMsman. I would like to, with subtle spell, cast True Seeing.
Okay.
Subtle spell.
Yeah. Subtle spell is no verbal or somatic components.
So with subtle spell, go ahead and tell me what it is that True Seeing does, please.
I see things as they are. And let's see, it explicitly gives me permission to see things like a creature that has true sight sees secret doors hidden by magic and see into the ethereal plane. It's used to see things like through illusions or through shapeshifting and the like, to see how whatever the thing's normal shape really is.
Totally. So you cast True Seeing, and the first thing you notice is that the thing about True Sight is even if they are physically shapeshifted into something else, you still see the original form, right?
Yes.
Yes. So this is definitely a pit fiend. And as you sort of look around, there is a little bit of interest. One thing you notice is that on the tree, on the north, I'm going to say that's northeast. Okay, I remember my east and west. On the northeast side, you notice a word written across the trunk in Sylvan, and a door that is flush into the tree, but is definitely, there's some sort of entryway in that tree.
Cool. I don't speak Sylvan, so
fair enough.
But good to know.
Oh, wait, I didn't want to make that one.
Well, if there's a tour to be had, I guess. I don't know. Are we interested in a tour? She asks the room at large.
Well, I see this gentleman over here seems to be extremely interested in our vehicle here. Hold on. Why am I still...
Dell is going to look at the pit fiend.
Oops, sorry. Hold on.
Ah.
Yeah. For some reason, my controls weren't working right. It was drawing, even though I didn't want it to draw, and then I accidentally hit the X button, so I'm putting it back up right now. Okay, go ahead.
Is going to look at the pit fiend and goes, "It's been some time since I've seen something of German make."
Ah, someone with an eye for detail. Now that is knowledge that is very uncommon on this plane of existence. I would be very curious to know how you came across such knowledge.
Fascinating.
But yes, this particular vehicle came from a prime material plane called France. The grandmother loves vehicles of all types. You'll find many in the storage unit, although the storage unit is, of course, off limits.
Of course.
Boom. Share. And over here, another such vehicle. He points to the it's like a, what are the really light boats that go across the ocean called? I don't remember what they're called, but it's
seafaring canoes.
That's exactly right. Yes. And he sort of gestures over there. And let's see if I can find the description of that one.
So while he is moving over towards that other corner and gesturing to the canoe, which is above us, can Charlotte, who is touching the tree, peel a piece of the bark off and pocket it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Give me. Are you trying to hide that you're doing this, or are you okay to leave a scar on the tree?
don't think she's trying to take too big of a piece. She's trying to be subtle about it.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a sleight of hand isn't a thing, is it? Yeah, it is. Give me a sleight of hand. Take advantage because the guy's not paying attention to you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
no
yeah.
problem. Easy peasy.
Okay.
He says, "This canoe is from this very plane. Did you know that far off to the east of the continent of Faerun, there are a great deal of islands, an archipelago where those who live there use these boats to get from island to island for the purposes of trade and transport?"
That's quite fascinating.
Yes, the story is that one of them beseeched Baba Yaga for, I believe it was a bountiful harvest, and she had been in one of her generous moods at the time, so she granted it and received this in return. A surprisingly wholesome story for the grandmother of witches.
Do you have a lot of unwholesome stories about grandmother?
Oh, I wouldn't gossip.
What if they pertain to an exhibit? Then you know the story, right?
In that case, then yes, of course I would be able to tell such a story. But
What?
I will tell you I am very fond of my job. I enjoy it here. So I will not say anything that puts me in jeopardy of dismissal.
Of course.
What's your favorite exhibit? Exhibit, that's the word, right?
Yes. If you will follow me, and he will move back towards the door that the area that he came through. Now, the area is covered by sort of an illusion of, like, swirling smoke. And he walks in. And he says, "This is the Nightwing."
Makes noise, sorry.
Charlotte will, with Swoops' help, follow him.
Mm-hmm. Now, in this room, there are 2 exhibits, one of which is my very favorite. To the north, you will find a skull. The skull, by the way, that he describes, is about 15 feet long and about 12 feet tall. And he says, let's see. Yes. He looks up at the skull, and he almost gets like a wistful sense to his voice, and he says, "I knew this gentleman, in fact. This was a general of the Nine Hells by the name of Jolvoth. God damn it. That was me, not him. A general of the Nine Hells named Jolvoth. One of Asmodeus's generals, decided that it was in the best interest of the Nine Hells to come and attempt to take the hut from the grandmother, to destroy her and supplant her as the owner of the hut. As you can see, he failed. However, that is not my favorite. In fact, I find it somewhat unnerving, if I'm being honest. He turns around to the south end of the room and begins to walk, so if there's anything you want to say, go for it.
I'm wondering, like, does Calder see anything more to the skull with his true seeing?
Good question. This is exactly what it appears to be. It is the skull of a massive a devil.
Mm-hmm. Can I get a history check or something to, like, see what I remember about any of my, like, history and readings about devils and the like?
That sounds like a good plan to me. Go ahead
Can
and roll
I
it.
have that history check as well?
Yes, and Dell, you can go ahead and take advantage on it.
Yeah, this is not something that Calder has read in a long time, so.
So with a 10, Calder, and with a 12 for Delmain, you've definitely heard.
Equally dumb. High fives.
You
Well,
definitely have heard the name. Like, this is a devil that has been known to wage war against the heavens or the positive material plane or whatever it's called in this continuity. Like
material plane, heaven, or heaven, the celestial realm, etc., etc.
Yes, this is the skull of a legend.
Would they know with the 10 and the 12 whether or not demon or devils tend to leave physical remains? Because I know they respawn in the hells, but do they typically leave bones and stuff behind when they die?
No, they don't.
Typically, only in the hells. They have to be killed in hell for it to matter.
Yeah, this is definitely not normal.
May I pose a question?
Of course.
What killed him?
I was not present at the time. What I am told is that Baba Yaga turned him to stone, and then somehow, through some means that I'm unaware of, extracted the skull from the stone. And perhaps the reason why the bone is still bone is that the rest of the body is still somewhere in the hut. If that is the case, it would still be alive. You asked about some of the more
less wholesome,
spicy, shall we say, stories of the grandmother. She does not take to being attacked kindly.
Alive? Could it be aware? Oh. Oh, no, don't answer that. I don't think I want to know. I wanted to know about what your favorite exhibit was.
Yes, that is, as I said, not my favorite exhibit. And he looks at it and he gives an almost imperceptible little shudder, and he turns back around to the south. Now, Calder, you look to the south, and I actually need a wisdom save from you because you're having a hard time processing what it is that you're seeing.
Interesting.
So for everyone else, there is a large, 15-foot by 15-foot box down there, and Calder, you are just dumbstruck by this thing, like staring into the abyss, kind of dumbstruck.
Okay.
But it's not the abyss, and your brain just cannot comprehend what it is that it's seeing, with the true sight up. And the curator walks down towards it, and motions to there's a switch on the side of it that's currently in the on position, and you can hear sort of a hum of power running through the thing. And he looks down at it fondly, and he pats it a little bit, and he says, "This, my friends, is a box of nothing. This is where you ooh and ah."
What? Of nothing?
A
How
box
can you have a box of nothing?
of nothingness. Yes, indeed. How indeed? There was a wizard who was doing experiments with this very box. We know not where it came from. Even Baba Yaga herself does not know where and when it came from.
The madman logged a piece of the abyss?
No, even stranger still. He found a plane of existence where nothingness is a physical form, where nothingness is something. Where...
And brought it here?
But nothing can't be something.
It's magic. It's...
He
Do you know the name of the wizard?
He turns the... He pulls the switch down, and the nothingness in the box fades, and it just becomes sort of a translucent plexiglass kind of box, which of course you wouldn't know what that is. But once that happens, once he turns it off, Calder, you're able to sort of function properly again. And he says, "No, I'm afraid not. I only know that the wizard was attempting some experiments involving the negative energy plane, and he found something else entirely. Observe." He'll pull out a silver piece from his pouch, and he'll toss it. He'll like open the top of the box and he'll toss it in there. And he'll close it. Would one of you do so or be so kind as to throw the switch? I love this part.
Well, Maven, you're right there.
So the machine begins to hum and begins to rumble, and this time, Calder, you're ready for it, right? You know what's coming, so you're able to observe as it's not like the stuff in the box is being removed, right? It's not like the silver piece and all the air in the box. It's not like it's being taken out. The box is being filled up with pure, unmitigated nothing. And when he turns off the power again, the silver piece is nowhere to be found. We have no idea where it goes or what it does.
Well, if nothing can be a substance, what makes you so sure that it's gone and not just transformed?
Exactly. Exactly. I see you understand.
It's akin to the sphere of annihilation.
Perhaps. Perhaps. That is a connection that the grandmother attempted to make at one time. She even attempted to place such a sphere within at one point.
How did that turn out?
We rebuilt.
Oh, so it didn't just disappear.
This is not the first of the hidden museums. The grandmother can create and destroy these rooms on a whim. She managed to get us out in time before the entire reality of it collapsed. It was a fascinating experiment.
So putting the sphere of annihilation into this thing deleted a miniature plane.
Unmade the entire reality of this room, yes. He is so excited about this, by the way. Like, he's geeking out something fierce.
So, Mr.
A curator.
What was your name? Curator. An interesting name. So obviously this is your favorite. What makes this your favorite? Out of everything else here, what makes this the most interesting thing in the museum?
Out of everything in this place, this is the one that I understand the least. There are others that are complex. There are others that come from planes beyond our imaginings. But this, every time I think about this, I can hardly wrap my mind around it.
I certainly agree. I don't think I'm going to try to wrap my mind around it at all. That's for those much more like you and our those of us who think in things of terms of nothingness being a somethingness. And yes.
Such has haunted my nightmares for decades now. By the by, I've been horribly rude. I didn't ask what brought you to my fine museum. Are you here simply on a vacation? Are you here for business?
Gravity, mostly.
We sort of stumbled into the museum.
Ah.
We are on a sort of a small, I don't know if you'd call it a quest. A quest implies
A field trip, if you will.
Yeah,
Oh?
a scavenger hunt, like when you're little children. It's so much fun. Do you want to help us in this scavenger hunt?
Well,
I'm sure you would know so many things. Certainly. Like,
I'm not even going to make you roll the persuasion check. That just works. That just works. And
I've literally been using, like, that's why I asked, like, what would be his favorite thing? Because Maven is trying to use how she gets children involved with things.
He actually stands up a little straighter and will say, well, my knowledge of the outer layer of this hut is incomplete. I rarely venture out of this room and my own chambers, as well as the storage facility, but I hear things and I receive visitors, so perhaps I can be of service.
Well, yes. in our scavenger hunt, we are looking for 3 things, and I think I might have found the first one. I'm quite proud of myself, but you know, there are other things that are more difficult, and I don't know if they're even going to be on this outer layer. But you wouldn't know where to find apples that we could pick. Not just like a bowl, but like a whippable apple from a tree. And it sounds quite macabre, but grave dirt? I really hate the idea of disturbing an actual grave, but such is the thing of, scavenger hunts. They give you such weird lists, and in the end, you just get to see who wins.
And if I may ask, who is it that set the challenge for you?
We don't really know. They didn't sign the task.
Well, no, they didn't. But in situations like this, sometimes that's just how it is. You learn all of this through the process. Certainly, the process of taking care of such interesting objects, you understand. You learn through the process. I would imagine you don't know really that much at all about the scary box of nothingness, but I'm sure you know more about it now than when it first came in.
Indeed. I know there is an orchard within the hut.
Mm-hmm.
I have never been to it myself. I believe that it connects to the stables, which I've also never been to. However, who would certainly know how to get to the orchard would be Chef Pepperhop in the kitchens. He would know how to get there. He's not the most pleasant of fellows, but so long as you treat him with due deference, he will at least tolerate your presence.
Oh, as one chef
Probably.
to another. I can certainly understand how to talk to and handle a chef in their own kitchen.
He would know. He would know where to find apples. Now,
So where's
the kitchen, it's been so long since I've ventured out. Unless the rooms have shifted in the interim, the kitchen is accessible through the ceiling of the entry hall.
Okay.
And also through the trophy room and possibly the armory. Perhaps. I'm afraid I'm not entirely certain. The rooms do, over the years, tend to shift from time to time, so my knowledge might be incomplete.
But the kitchen is a part of the outer layers.
Yes. And
Okay.
the grave dirt I can actually help you with.
Oh.
Yes. If you'll join me back in the main hall, and he'll move back into the center.
I want to say, point of order, as we are following each other through these hallways, Calder will see that where Swoops is holding on to the back of Charlotte's necklace with his true seeing, it's like you see the little bat, but you also kind of see a weird flanged millipede type creature where Swoops is with your true seeing.
Not making any comment on it.
So the curator will approach the tree on the northeast, the one that Calder earlier noticed there was a door. And he'll say, "This door right here is in fact a portal to another part of the hut. Once again, how this is accomplished without harming the tree is beyond my knowledge, I'm afraid. But I do know that it currently leads to the Cemetery of Kings. And old Lord Denbar he's a riot once you get to know him. And I'm sure he would allow you to take a handful of dirt. If you ask politely. Denbar, yes.
How much does Lord Denbar stand on ceremony?
He enjoys wordplay and does not stand too heavily on ceremony, no.
Can I get a history check for that name?
Yeah, totally. History check. If you want to make one, you can also take advantage on this as well.
If it ain't dwarven, Maven don't
12.
know it.
Okay.
Maven don't know it.
So, Calder, you seem to think that you may have heard of a storm giant by that name in something you read a while ago, but you're not 100% sure. Del, on the other hand, so you actually know Denbar was the name of a storm giant king here on the prime material plane up until about 200 years ago when he died of natural causes. He was, in fact, considered a hero. He stopped several interplanar invasions. He also battled creatures beneath the oceans that were set on rising up and destroying all sentience. He had quite a storied career as king of the storm giants until he passed away in his sleep. If that's who this is. But it's definitely a name that rings true to you.
Del isn't gonna Del will just nod, but won't say anything. Because he already thinks that he said too much. In the presence of this being.
That's entirely fair.
I mean, this seems like a bit of a lucky break. We've found a lead on another one of our items. I'm willing to give it a shot. Can we keep the door open while we're in there grabbing it and then come right back?
Perhaps you will come out inside the mausoleum, so you will not have access to the dirt there. And please do ask permission and ask politely. He is very protective of the cemetery.
Of course.
Of course. You have been just a delight.
There are 3 more wings, by the way, if you ever decide you want to come back in this direction and you want to learn of more wonders from across the plains.
I'm sure we'll pass through here at some other point getting around. There's certainly a lot of doors.
More than
Perhaps
there
you
appear.
can show us your second favorite next time.
And he'll bow. And he'll run his hand across the word that Calder could see that nobody else can see. And he will speak a word in Sylvan. Do any of you speak Sylvan?
Yes.
Excellent. I am going to find what that word is.
Let's try to look it up. I don't think... No, Charlotte does not.
It's actually the word for graveyard in Sylvan.
Oh boy.
Speak, friend, and enter.
And it sort of opens from the middle, and again that sort of dark gray black void that you've been used to seeing as you open doors between the rooms of the hut appears before you.
So glad that I am Maven right now and not Kretha, because those are portals, and Kretha would be vomiting at every turn. And I don't think that would have made as good an impression.
Yeah, Charlotte will step forward and even like sort of put her hand out so this guy can guide her to where the door is and to step through it.
He will do so. Oh, how incredibly rude of me. I never even asked your names.
No, you didn't. And she steps through.
And you get this sort of chuckle from him as you pass through. Everyone else
saying a thing. Calder will just walk through the portal.
Yep. Absolutely. Is anyone going to say or do anything while they're in this room before they move on to the next one?
Yeah, so before Maven moves through the portal, she passes on one of her little like pies. That not the stuff I'm holding on, but just little pies off to him and goes, "You've been a nice dear, I made it." And then leaves.
Dell will like give him like those squinty eyes, you know? Dell also will probably walk into the door but facing him the entire time.
Yeah. Dell, you get the idea that, like, pretty much everything he said about taking the job from Baba Yaga and being super happy with it and everything is probably true. But, like...
Yeah, no. My intuition's pretty on point with that, but that doesn't mean
Yeah.
he's not.
No. I was about to say, the second half of that sentence is, you also feel like he's running from something.
Probably.
This might be a good gig for multiple reasons.
And the darkness envelops you. You find yourself in a space where direction has no meaning, and you come out into an austere mausoleum, which I'm going to pull the map up for right now.